Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good today. This video may contain copyrighted images being used underneath fair use act for educational purposes. I want to thank my subs out there, and one sub in particular who took time out of his life, spent his own money, his own gas money. He didn't open a GoFundMe page for it, but he drove about 30-40 minutes to go take pictures of Flat Earth Core's address. And there's the sign. I don't care what anybody says, Shamrock Holdings LLC, it could be still very well tied to Disney. And it's up to FECORE, Bob and Jaron and the rest of them to prove otherwise. Same monogram, same logo they use. Shamrock Holdings LLC, you know, Shamrock Holdings LLC would have satellite offices across the country. That's what they do. They buy real estate anyways and create other orgs and other LLCs. That's why it's called holdings. Holdings. FECORE belongs to Metatron. I'll guarantee it. It's only a matter of time before it gets all tied together. In fact, they seem to can't even figure out, make up their minds when FECORE was created. Because they're saying it was just created a month ago. They just came up with the idea. But there's somebody else who shouldn't even be involved in this that says something totally different. Mr. Rick Hummer. And remember, you're going to get an explanation from Rick Hummer on why they chose this building. And it's utter nonsense. But anyways, let's get started. I want to thank the guy, you know. Got this picture and this picture of the front door. Oh, and then you got this. The gargoyle, the serpent, and the eagle. Just more symbolism. Yeah. There's no FECORE sign outside because I'll guarantee you it's probably part of Shamrock Holdings. And Shamrock Holdings is probably part of Metatron. And so on and so forth. That's why Rick's involved in Metatron. That's why Rick was involved as the MC, as the host, as the guy controlling the Flat Earth Conference. And that's why all the mail's going to go to him. All the checks, all the letters, all the federal aid, the federal funding. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They're able to receive federal funding. These so-called scientists and self-appointed engineers. So, let's get started here with a little truth from Jaron. Many of us know, let me fix my screen here. Many of us know that we never get truth from Jaron and Bob. It's just a bunch of theories pushing lies and just gatekeeping. They're just creating videos to make money. It's all about making money, folks. But we finally get some truth and honesty out of Jaron. Let's listen. As they were introducing FECORE, he spoke.
We can talk about it all day long, but if we're not out there proactively researching, experimenting, then we're really doing nothing different than the theoretical physicists who are just making shit up. So,
do you see what he said? He finally admits that what they've been doing for the last 2.5 years was no different than the shit that Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and the rest of the clown show's been making up. They've been making shit up. And Jaron just finally admitted to it. Jaron's dumb. Jaron has no building skills, no engineering skills. But all of a sudden, everybody on FECORE is engineers and scientists. And all of a sudden, I guess the scientific community is going to respect him now because they're a .org. Get freaking real. You're flat earth YouTubers who make shit up on YouTube. So let's get started. You know, this business model is just crazy. They claim they got a lot of well-known people, scientists, working behind the scenes, and they have to keep them anonymous. Let's listen.
we have put together a group of people, not all of which are represented here today. We have several other people that are working behind the scenes, some people that will probably never become public figures within the group, because as I said at the conference, there will be certain engineers and scientifically minded people that simply do not want their identity out there because of the crazy stuff that people do, and you know, to go public would put their job or their livelihood in jeopardy. Okay, so
here's the problem with their whole business model. They got all these secret scientists and researchers that they can't name, so they can't use their research to go after the B system, the control system. This is absurd. And all these guys call themselves scientists and engineers now. I don't even think one of them's got a college degree. Not that they mean anything, but come on, man. Scientists and engineers. We know from Bill Nye an engineer isn't a scientist, and Jaron's neither. Neither is Bob. I don't know who this clown is. And then they got Dr. Zach. He wouldn't even answer a question if he's a real doctor or not. Do you got a PhD, Dr. Zach? Please let us know in the comments down below. If not, change your name. You wannabe. So, let's keep going here. Because they talk about some guy named Rory Cooper. Isn't it funny? With every event, they have some guy that just disappears and they don't want to talk about it. Well, you got somebody involved with FECORE that disappeared and doesn't want to talk about it. Rory Cooper, if you're listening, I hope you comment down below. Email me, make a video, do the right thing. Tell us why you left.
Also, one other person I forgot to mention who is in the chat, and that's Dr. Zach. He's definitely part of this group. A lot of people have said, oh yeah, I saw Dr. Zach's handiwork all over that animation. And yes, Zach is part of the group, and we are very happy to have him in the group. And yes, he definitely was the guy behind a lot of the graphics in the video for FECORE. So Mike, I guess what we should kind of start off with is...
Oops, I'm on the wrong clip here. This clip here.
Funny that you mentioned Rory Cooper. You know, when we started out with Rory Cooper in the group. Also discussing a lot of things, but he had to back out then because he had some issues, which I will not elaborate on.
Okay.
Then you know. I started working on a magnetic flat Earth model, and I got so excited by the results that we got from modeling that that field, you know, that I started to think, well, maybe we should gather in more professionals and people that actually have experience in that field. And one thing led to another, and then I contacted you guys because you know, I've been trying to contact especially Bob for I think well over.
Now listen to this carefully because something's not right here. They keep saying that FECORE was created by this guy, but later on, probably in part 2, you'll find out they're all telling a different story on how and when FECORE was created. I'll tell you what. FECORE is Metatron. We're just missing the link. It's hidden behind Shamrock Holdings. That's why they use these LLCs that pop up out of no place. And Bob, I mentioned your LLC because I'm sure you'll be billing using your LLC to bill FECORE for your time. LLCs are often used for tax purposes, tax shelters, and to launder money. So, there you have it.
For 6 months, and I just couldn't get through. And you know, and here we are now, a full group with basically every big name in flat Earth there, and a lot of names that indeed, what you say, nobody will ever know who they are, because they will remain in the background. But now we have a full group of highly qualified professionals, and we want to take it to the next level. instead of being in the YouTube realm. Videos are not.
There you go. Professionals. All of a sudden, Bob and Jaron are professionals. I know for a fact, Jaron has no engineer skills or blue collar skills. Probably never built a fence in his life because he doesn't even realize you can't stand up a 8-foot pressure treated 4x4 post in a third a bucket of sand. Ludicrous. Anyways, yeah, another missing person. Rory Cooper. Anybody know who that is? Please leave a comment down below. Let's move along. Here they're doing the damage control for giving Flat Earth Core the best research group. And here you got Bob. He's criticizing me for not doing research. And Jaron criticizing for me for not doing research. But these guys, as you will find out later in part 2 or part 3, they don't even know their own freaking bylaws. And they're on here trying to tell us about FECORE. Why don't you guys do some research and read your bylaws and get your story straight? Because you've been lying to people about not getting paid. And I'll expose that later on. So, yeah, let's listen to Bob's excuse why FECORE got a shameless plug. The very last thing that happened at the Flat Earth Conference. A shameless plug for Flat Earth Core, the best research group. Let's listen to Bob's excuse.
And one thing I want to point out, first of all, to answer one of the very first questions that kind of caused an uproar in the community, is a lot of people said, okay, so you guys just announced yourself at the FE 2017 conference, and at the end of the night, you had already won a Flatty for, I don't know, good best research or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the category was. And they say, how is that possible? You know, that looks highly suspicious, and, you know, that just can't be right. And I want people to understand that it was not us necessarily, the group that came up on the stage that
Excuse me, Bob. The award was for Best Flat Earth Research Group. And that went to FECORE.
Award was given in recognition to. It was given in recognition to Mike, Zach, and Steve, who did the original video several months ago, and also all their previous work before that, which again, not many people were aware.
So why didn't you play their videos that gave them this award? Instead, you shamelessly plugged FECORE. The very last thing you guys did at the convention, you shamelessly plug your own organization as best research group. It had nothing to do with videos these clowns created months ago. You're just lying your ass off, Bob.
Of because you know you guys just didn't have that much exposure until that one particular video, but you had already done considerable work behind the scenes, and it was absolutely amazing work. So when the award was announced and Rick Hummer basically accepted it, he made very sure that he said he was accepting it on behalf of Mike, Steve, and Zach, because that's really who it was intended for. Now the rest of us went up on stage, you know, because we are now part of that group now. But you know, had it not been for Mike, Zach, and Steve doing all their groundbreaking work before,
you guys are part of that group now. You always have been. You guys have been planning this for several months, not just a month when you started filed. You've been planning this for several months, and Jaron's been going around telling people we need to give somebody $250,000 a month so they can do flat Earth research. You've been preparing us for this all along.
for that, you know, we would not have been there at all. So I just want to make that perfectly clear that, you know, that's why that award was issued, and in my opinion, it was well deserved because, you know, it was some very groundbreaking work. So
well deserved for what groundbreaking work? Show us the work. You gave us a shameless plug for FECORE group. All right, let's keep going here. And to you that don't like me yelling, turn down your volume. Those that say it don't work, go tell that what's his name, loudmouth over at InfoWars. Not that I like him, but if it obviously works for him to get it through your thick heads, or your thin heads, because you're a fan of his if you go to InfoWars. Anyways, let's keep going here. They're talking about us people like we're purposely trying to derail them and the flat earth movement. Let's listen to more nonsense from Bob, who doesn't even know his own bylaws when he's a board member. Let's listen.
It was a huge point of contention, and frankly, I thought it was a little crazy, but you never know what kind of reactions you're going to get from the public, especially those that are, purposely trying to derail things. And honestly, that's where most of the problems came from, not so much from the, flat earth community that follows the work and supports this work, but the naysayers that are just trying to make a name for themselves by, calling everybody a shill and everybody a fraud. But nevertheless, we have addressed it. And
you haven't addressed anything, Bob. You haven't addressed anything. How can you sit there and say you addressed it all? Huh? Why is FECORE into medical and agriculture? Please explain that. You guys never gave a clear explanation. That's New World Order shit. That's Bill Gates shit. Especially when you figure out that Metatron is actually funding or actually behind FECORE. I'm sure that proof will come out. In fact, I think MGTV has proof of it. They were talking about creating something just like this months ago.
That's the reason, why they got that award. And my
Yeah, that's the reason they got that award. Oh. Yeah, and we're all purposely trying to derail them. No, we want integrity, honesty. You guys have no integrity. You are the same people that has supported IPS and the rocket fraud. You supported this fraud. You have no integrity. In fact, when asked if people should get their money back, you say, oh, nobody wants their money back. You know why they ain't asking for their money back? Because they're embarrassed for believing you and IPS and all this other shit about this rocket launch, this steam-powered rocket launch. And then a rocket launch that you guys were promoting that was supposed to go to the Kármán line. You guys have no integrity. You still back IPS after he sent numerous very disgusting, vile death threats to several people. So don't come at me with your integrity stuff. Or that we're trying to purposely derail you. We're trying to derail you because you guys are gatekeepers. You're Illuminatis. You're part of the same system, the beast system we're fighting. And creating this .org just proves that fact. So, let's keep going here.
We have a list of questions for you guys that kind of have come up from everywhere. Not only some of the more prominent people in Flat Earth. I'm not going to mention any channel names because, frankly, I'm a little PO'd at them.
Imagine that. PO'd at people for calling you out on your bullshit, on your lies, on your self-promotion, your self-gratification. Engineers and scientists. You're YouTubers making shit up.
But also some other ones that are just blatant troublemakers. But nevertheless, some of the questions, are legitimate, I feel, and we are here to address them today. And for those of you that don't know, we do have a board of directors, okay? And of course, Mike, like I said, is the president and chairman. We have Steve, who's the treasurer, Karen, the secretary, Rick, myself, Sandor, and Jaron are all board members, okay? So one of the first things that came up.
Let's make this clear before I move on to the next clip. clip. Rick Hummer. He's part of the beast system. He's in TV, radio. He'll admit here that he does commercials. He's in TV, radio, the news, the media, the radio media. He's part of the beast system. He's part of the control system. And he's part of Metatron. That's why he was in control and running everything at the convention. You notice Robbie was taking a back seat. That's because this clown was brought in to run FECORE and Metatron, and Metatron interest in the convention. And he's controlling Metatron's interest in their FECORE. That's why they're using this guy's address. Now let's listen to this bullshit, because he says he's using this address because he's been renting an office space there for a while. Let's listen to this nonsense of this clown, this control freak, the man who works for the beast system.
Yes. First of all, in a town of, I think, around 1,500 people, I can't believe there's two different Maple Streets. So there's an east-west Maple, there's a north-south Maple. We're on South Maple, and the building was formerly a Mennonite church, and a gentleman who owns a...
For all we know, the Englands bought it and then listed it as a church for tax purposes. So the stuff that it used to be, you haven't proved it. And you have no credibility, Rick Hummer. You're part of Hollywood. You're part of the media control mechanism.
The company, a holdings company, purchased the building and is using that for a tooling company for some of their logistics. The building's huge, by the way. There's a big gym in the basement. The sanctuary is used as a recreation room that people can use for certain things. I've actually used it for some of the audio video commercial stuff that I do for a local dealership there. And then I also have
a local dealership in a small town of 1,500. You do radio and commercial ads for the beast.
an office there. There's another gentleman that has an office there. There is an accounting office there.
Correct, they would, because it's Shamrock Holdings. He thinks this is a huge business with several corporations located in it. Let's keep listening, because he contradicts himself. He says he rents a little office out, and then he says, oh, well, they decided to give the free office space to FECORE.
So the building's massive, and, you know, on the inside especially. On the outside...
I guess a building could be massive on the inside and small on the outside. It's got a basement below. Let's listen.
Yes, it looks just like a church, and it's a beautiful building, and the guy picked it up at a great deal, and he's using it for something. And so when we came into the issue of needing to put the address, here in the United States, it made sense. I was already in a place, and the gentleman that owns the building, once I spoke to him on what we were doing with the 501c3, he agreed, and he's donating office space for...
See, Rick was already there, and he's renting office space, and now all of a sudden it made sense to use that address. You know why they're using that address? Because all this is tied to Metatron, and he's the link between Metatron and the convention, and he's the link between Metatron and FECORE. Like I said, MGTV shows you Metatron's business plan, and it tells you they were going to create a website that was sort of like crowdfunding. It's just what they created. But yet Jaron's telling you, acting like he and Bob filled out 16 pages of paperwork and sent this off. Bullshit. This .org is created by Metatron, not Jaron and Bob and this guy's idea, because later on in part 2, this guy slips up and spills the beans. So make sure you show up for part 2. Until then, everybody, let's listen to the rest of this, because there's something else in there.
FECORE, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes in, and as you guys know, everyone gets junk mail, so that'll start coming in. And there's going to,
all the checks are going to go to Rick Hummer. So when the federal funding comes in, it goes right to Rick Hummer. That's right, folks. And they're not even going to tell you who's been donating money, so they can sit there and receive federal funding and not even tell you. Most of their research isn't going to be about flat earth anyways. They made themselves available for federal funding, and you could bet on it these greedy people will take it. And they won't even tell us. It will be hidden. Just like everything else is hidden behind Shamrock LLC. Have a good day, everybody.